Do you want to watch the video that slanders Milo? I sent it to him earlier. I was like, can we watch this?
All right, let's watch Milo get
you know
slandered.
what? My researchers have seen this. I haven't seen this. Two of my researchers have seen this, and they told me that I had to watch it, and I still haven't watched it. So please show me.
All right, well, you're going to watch it now. Anytime you want to speak up, Milo, just start talking, and I'll pause it.
Yeah, this is Milo Yiannopoulos, hypocrite and pedophile protector. So, great title. Great title.
I'm going to wait till the end. Let's just play it right the way through.
All right, you want to just play it all the way through? It's 4 minutes.
Go right the way through. We'll talk about it. How long is it?
4 minutes.
We'll stop and comment.
Because it wasn't sufficiently scandalous that I lost my virginity in an interracial fivesome with a drag queen.
That's not enough?
No, so I started
How old were you?
I started bringing, I don't know, like 13, maybe 12.
13?
Drag
12
queen,
or 13,
interracial
fivesome?
fivesome. Yeah, it was great.
That's the first one?
Yeah.
Oh yes, you understood correctly. During his recent appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast, Milo Yiannopoulos stated that he first had sex when he was 12 or 13 years old with an adult drag queen and said that he thought this was perfectly okay. This is the right-wing Breitbart journalist who thought it was perfectly okay to lead the witch hunt against Sarah Nyberg, an individual alleged to have paedophilic fantasies who reportedly took a picture of her clothed 8-year-old cousin. Let's begin with these claims.
I exposed this pedophile. She was backed up, and all the social justice warriors doubled down and protected her because she was, on message. Basically, she had the right politics, so they stuck her in a kiddie fiddler. This is the.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just commenting on my hair.
My hair is fabulous.
How does everyone feel about the age of 13? Is that like everyone's
I think for some
personal?
people it's perfectly fine, but the difference here is that I was giving informed and aware consent. And I was a sexually mature young man able to give consent and giving consent to sexual acts versus the exploitation of an 8-year-old girl.
You're saying that you reach sexual maturity at a younger age,
yes,
or at an early age. Okay. If I knew someone around my age that was like, I just had sex with a 13-year-old, I would be creeped out, honestly.
Yeah. What is your age? What is your age?
I'm almost 35.
Okay, well, I'm talking about 28-year-olds.
Oh, well.
Oh, okay. Well, that changes everything.
Well, you won't
Paul's
hear that
like,
in this
okay,
video,
cool.
I'm sure. I'm guessing, because I've never told this publicly, that you won't hear that in this video, but we're talking about 1325, 1328. These things do happen perfectly consensually. Often, by the way, it's the women who suffer in these, because what normally happens in schools very often is it's an older woman with a younger boy, and the boy is the predator in that situation. The boy is like, let's see if I can fuck the gym teacher, or let's see if I can fuck the hot maths teacher, and he does. The women fall in love with these nubile young men, these athletic young boys in their prime. And end up having their lives destroyed. They end up having to move schools, move the country, whatever. I would say in the situation I describe in the Joe Rogan show, I was very definitely the predator on both occasions. As offensive as some people will find that, I don't much care. That was certainly my experience of it. I was very much the
Ben,
predator in those situations. But to be clear,
Ben, hold on.
we're not
hold on,
talking-
Milo, 1 second. Ben, you said you'd be creeped out if someone came to you and said they had sex with a 13-year-old. But what if they said, the 13-year-old, they were the predator?
It came on to me.
They came on to me. I mean, it's really. I mean, is it that unbelievable if you have some really horny 13-year-old that just coming at you hard?
TJ's harkening back to the days of when he was 13. It's like,
I mean, yeah.
If I looked as good as Milo, I'd have been hitting on people. For sure.
I mean, serious. Is it any wonder I was sexually precocious? Fucking look at me. People wanted to fuck me all over the place.
Paul, your thoughts.
It was only polite to let them on occasion. The point about all this stuff is we get hung up on abuse. This is a controversial point of view I accept, but we get hung up on this this sort of child abuse stuff. And to the point where we're heavily policing even relationships between consenting adults, sort of grad students and professors at universities.
Well, actually, Milo, I have a video on consent if you want to watch that.
Well, let's address a little more of this.
I think I'm okay.
I was after I lost my virginity. I was in my teens. I was in my teens.
14.
I was in my teens.
The whole consent thing for me is once again, it's not this black and white thing that people try and paint it. There some 13-year-olds out there capable of giving informed consent to have sex with an adult? Probably. But I was also a 13-year-old. I hung around with 13-year-old guys, you know, when I was 13, and there were some of them that still thought girls were fucking icky at 13. Like, not many, but like they were just coming out of that phase. I don't know that I was ready at 13 to get fucked in the ass by a 28-year-old black drag queen, is what I'm saying. So you can't. The reason these age of consent laws exist is because we have to set some kind of a barometer here. We've got to pick an age and go, okay, look, this is the age where we can reasonably be assured you're an adult, you can give informed consent, you understand the risks and pregnancy risks, and all that bullshit.
And I think the law is probably about right. That's probably roughly the right age. I think it's probably about okay. But there are certainly people who are capable of giving consent at a younger age. I certainly consider myself to be one of them. People who are sexually active younger. I think it particularly happens in the gay world, by the way. And in many cases, actually, those relationships with older men. This is one of the reasons I hate the left. You know, one size fits all policing of culture. This arbitrary
Milo.
Let him talk.
This arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent, which totally destroys, the understanding that many of us have of the complexities and subtleties and complicated nature of many relationships. You know, people are messy and complex, and actually, in a homosexual world, particularly, some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming-of-age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love and a reliable and sort of a rock where they can't speak to their parents. Some of those relationships are some of the most
molestation to me. It sounds like,
well, you know what?
It sounds like Catholic priest molestation to me.
And you know what? I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him.
Oh my God! I can't handle it.
It's funny because
what is wrong with you, Ben?
Ben gave me some homework on you, Milo. He gave me a few videos to watch to brush up on my Miloisms. And one of the things that you said in one of these clips was that transgenderism is the new, frontier of rights. My wording is bad here, but it's the new frontier of social progress. And the next thing in line is going to be pedophilia. And yet here you are talking about how, look, some of these kids that get diddled by these priests, I mean, it's a good thing for them. They're getting this love. And now they are also getting
You're misunderstanding what pedophilia means. Pedophilia is not a sexual attraction to somebody 13 years old who is sexually mature. Pedophilia is attraction to children who have not reached puberty. Pedophilia is attraction to people who don't have functioning sex organs yet, who have not gone through puberty, who are too young to be able to understand the way their bodies. That is not what we're talking about.
And Coulter?
Sure, granted.
You don't understand what pedophilia is if you think that I'm defending it, because I'm certainly
No.
not.
I'm not saying you're defending it. I'm saying you're walking the borderline.
That's not what you said. You said I was defending it. And you were wrong.
Fine. I retract my statement, Milo. I retract my statement. I shan't slander you further, but you are advocating for cross-generational relationships here. Can we be honest about that?
Yeah, I don't mind admitting that, and I think particularly in the gay world and outside the Catholic Church, if that's where some of you want to go with this, I think in the gay world, some of the most important, enriching, and incredibly, life-affirming, important, shaping relationships, very often between younger boys and older men, can be hugely positive experiences for those young boys. They can even save those young boys from desolation, from suicide,
they're consensual.
Hold on.
all sorts of things, provided they're consensual. I'm going
to jump to Milo's defense a little bit here, because I've read stories of people losing their virginity, like gay men losing their virginity, and most of the stories do seem to involve, I was 14, I was 15,
sure,
he was 20-something, and all this stuff. And, it does seem more common in that community, so whatever.
I just don't see, just because I was sexually precocious doesn't mean that I'm going to say that every 13-year-old who has sex with a 28-year-old is fine. I don't know, because I don't know the specifics of that case. I'm not saying that every relationship involving those ages is fine. I have said many times that I consider myself an outlier.
I want to play a video about consent by a feminist, since that's kind of what we're talking about. No, Milo, you got to watch.